Now, okay. So yeah, so you want to be able to file your taxes early. I encourage people to do that, especially those people who are going to be getting a refund. Say thanks, Black Uplands. Hi, Miss Proby, Dr. Spinner. Thanks for jumping in here. All right, thank you. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate that. All right, so I think we are live on Facebook now. We're live on Facebook. Let's see. All right, so let's see. How about now? So yeah, I think we're good now on Facebook. Yes? No? All right. Okay, so yeah, I encourage folks to get their taxes filed early, especially the people getting money back. You don't want the government to keep that money because you're not getting any interest on it. No interest on it, right? So that's an interest-free loan. And so they want you to file, get that money, use it, invest it, make some money for yourself, earn your own interest that you can get. So we live on Facebook now, so you learn that, hey, yeah. So they're happy over here. Okay, you guys are happy, they're happy. All right, so let's back up a little bit. We're talking about the advanced child tax credit. And again, like I said, this is like really serious information because a lot of people got money in advance based on the fact that they're supposed to be getting a child tax credit, right? And I want to tell you guys how that might affect your taxes. But first, we want to talk about what the new amount is for the people who have been on Facebook. Thank you, guys. The new amount have gone up from $2,000 per child to $3,000 per child. Right. And then if your child is under 6, it's $3,600 per child. So that's a lot. That's a major difference from what it was in 2020. Okay, so a lot of people who were used to getting a huge refund because of the child tax credit, a lot of folks was getting, $7,000, $8,000, $1,000 refunds. The government feels like, okay, instead of waiting until you file your taxes to get all this money, they decided that they're going to send you this money now. So what happened is that's how the advanced child tax credit came into effect. So last year, somewhere around June, they sent you guys a letter stating that you have been qualified for advanced child tax credit. What they did was they based it on what you filed for 2019 and what your return looked like for 2020. So that's what they used. They decided that you're going to be getting your child tax credit in advance so you don't have to wait to file the taxes at the end of the year to get all this money, right? So this way you can have money as you go along. You can have money throughout the year, and then, it will help the economy, of course, help the household, right? So what happens is if you were one of those folks who had child tax credit on your 2020 tax return or 2019, you would have gotten $300 per child if your child was under 6, and or $250 if your child is over 6 to 17 per month, right? And they was advancing you that money from last July for 6 months. They wanted to give you half of that child tax credit that you would get when you file your taxes. They want you to have half that money up front. So that's the money that was going out. Now, everybody did not want that child tax credit advance. I've had clients who call me and say, how can I opt out of this? I didn't want this money. Because they don't want to have a problem when they file their taxes. So some people got that money. Some people really didn't want to have that money. But they did get it if they didn't stop it. You were able to opt out of it. And that's what I had advised some of my clients to do, because I will talk about how that's going to affect your taxes in a little bit. All right. So, hi, Inez. Thank you guys for jumping in here. Okay. So that was the first point we talked about, guys, what the new amount was. Second point today is, she said, hi, yes. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Karen. Thank you guys for jumping in. Okay, so what the new amount is, we talked about, and so who qualifies? So what happened is, of course, with all this stuff, you got to have certain amount of income, and there's a qualification that applies for your kids, right? So a qualifying child you must have, there must be a relative, they have to be a child or a niece or nephew, whatever. There's got to be relationships there. You have had to been taking care of them. They have to be a qualified dependent. They have got to have a valid social security number, which is very super important because some people don't have a valid social security number. It might be an ITIN, but they have to have a valid social security number to qualify. Okay. And what it is that you have got to have filed your 2019 taxes, your 2020 tax return, guys. And of course, there is an income limitation. All this stuff phases out if you make too much money, because of course, The idea is to assist the people who are not making a whole lot of money. So if you made a single person over $200,000, which is the income limitation, you would not be qualified for the child tax credit. So you would not have gotten an advanced child tax credit. If you are married filing joint, that number becomes $400,000. Okay, so when your income exceeds this amount, you don't get the credit anymore. So a lot of folks, you can have 3 or 4 or 5 dependents on your taxes, but if your income is too high, the child tax credit phases out and you no longer get the child tax credit. Okay, so again, this is very good to know, guys, because I always get calls on this. Every time I do a tax return, people are looking for these credits because, of course, this is refundable. This is the part. The great part is refundable credit. So even if you didn't pay any money in, you get this money back. Okay, so that's what it means by refundable credit. You don't have to have taken any money out of your check. You will get a refund. It's a refundable credit if you're eligible for the child tax credit. So everyone is always looking for this, right? They're always looking for this credit. Up to sometimes you can get $8,000, $9,000, depending on your dependents. Again, you haven't had to pay anything into the government. You get a check for this, all right? So that's what happened with who qualifies for it. The income limitation, again, you have to have the qualifying child and they have to have a valid social security number. They have to have a dependent, be a dependent of yours. And you have got to have been able to take care of them as far as the support, as far as the relationship, all the qualifying issues of a dependent child. And that makes you qualify. All right, so that's the second point today, guys. Let's move on to the third point today. And this is the one that is so serious. All right, so I want you guys to make note of this. This is the one that is very serious, the tax effect. So what that means is because you were given money in advance, this is where a lot of people are going to be very, very, very surprised when they file their 2021 tax return. The reason for this is you have gotten some of that money in advance. You've gotten half that money up front. So which means that when you file, if you are qualified for the same amount, you only got the other half to get. So you're getting the second half of that money. So for instance, if you had, let's say, 2 kids at $3,000 per child, and that was $6,000, and they paid you that $250 for 6 months, you got half that money already. So when you filed your taxes, they will take back that $3,000 and then refund you only $3,000. Okay, so a lot of people is going to be surprised because they're still going to be expecting this huge refund. So you have to know that that was advance money for the refund for 2021. You just got some of it earlier. So this is where a lot of people will be surprised. And so everybody needs to be aware of this, right? So if you had a child or 2 on your tax return for 2020 and they estimated that you would receive this child tax credit and they gave you half the money, so only the other half is what you will receive. Now here is the problem. So when you file your 2021 taxes, this is so serious. When you file your 2021 taxes, let's say the 3 divided in your tax return for 2020, you no longer are able to claim them on your 2021 tax return for whatever reason, right? So some people have dependents because there might be a divorced parent. One might be claiming the child. The other one might be claiming the child the following year. You know, they have arrangements like this. You may have a child who got, is older now, so they no longer are eligible for that. There's a lot of reason you might not have that qualifying dependent anymore, but or got that in advance. Just think about this. You already got that money in advance. So when you file 2021 taxes, if you no longer have those dependents or the same amount of dependents to claim, you can possibly owe taxes back, right? If you, let's say it was only one child that was on your tax return and you got that money in advance for that one child, say that was a $3,000. You got $15,000 there, but when you file, you no longer have that child to claim because the child is older now, or the other divorced parent or custodial parent is now claiming that child as a dependent. You don't have the child as a dependent on your taxes anymore. That $1,500 in advance that you get is going to be adjusted on your tax return so you can possibly have a tax situation. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people did not want the money in advance. A lot of clients of mine have called and said, can I stop this? How do I stop it? I don't want this money in advance because I'm really scared that it might be an issue. And they wanted to wait until they filed to actually get the money. And this is the reason why some people opt out of taking that money, man. Okay. So, hey, how you doing? Thanks for jumping on here. It was an excellent idea because it assists you in getting that money in advance, but you had to know at least your situation, whether it was going to look pretty similar, your dependents were going to be the same. You got the money up front, so you had to be able to make that decision before you actually accepted those advance payments. So today, advanced child tax credit update. This is why I wanted to have this conversation, because you guys, for instance, if you have a problem where dependents are being split or custodial parent have dependents, you may want to have a conversation about that and determine who claims that dependent child, so you can try to keep your tax situation more manageable and you guys can have that arrangement made. Hey, Tajnash, hello, Miss Elaine. Thanks for your advice. Thank you for tuning in as always. Thank you so much. All right. So that is the points today, guys. Let me recap these again. Very serious. This is the part, because a lot of people, especially the ones that filed early, they filed early so they could get this refund. Okay, they could get this child tax, the earned income credit, they can get this refund. They need this money now, and so they filed early. But some people might be a little bit more surprised than others this year because of the advanced child tax credit. Okay, so let me recap. Today we're talking about the advanced child tax credit update, the COVID-19 bill that allowed all these new changes. The government families to be able to have some money up front, so they made some new changes. The first point was that the new amount, which was excellent, of course, if you go from $2,000 to $3,000 child, and then they increased the age to 17, so that's great. I had a lot of clients who was losing dependents, the child tax credit, because dependents had turned, they got too old. And so the refund was reduced by that much money, and they always want to know why. So that's an excellent thing. And if the child is under 6, this is also brand new, $3,600 per child if you have a child under 6 years old. So that's the new amount, which is really an excellent thing. I mean, it works very well, of course, for families with dependent kids, right? So second point today is who qualifies. Now, of course, you got to have your qualifying child, your qualifying dependent. They don't have to be, your child. They could be nephews, nieces, there's a relationship there. It could be an adopted child, stepchild, whatever. There's a relationship there. So a qualifying dependent is what they're basing it on, of course. They have to have a valid Social Security number, and then your income, of course, cannot exceed, if you're single, over 200,000, or married filing joint over 400,000, because if that is the case, you will not be qualified for the child tax credit. Okay, so that's who qualified to get this credit. And what happened last year, again, the IRS had determined if you filed your 2019 taxes or 2020 taxes and you claimed the credit, they had went ahead and estimated what your credit would be for 2021. And what they did, they started sending those checks out to give you more money in your pocket early in July of last year. A lot of you guys out there may have gotten this money. Some people just took, they didn't take the money because they didn't want to have it and they didn't want to worry about how their taxes are going to look for 21. So some people have gotten that money July of last year, 6 months worth of their child tax credit they got in on a monthly basis in the form of $300 per child or $250 per child. I know of a lot of folks who have gotten that money. Okay, so hey, BJ, thanks for jumping in, of course. All right, so those are the advanced tax credit money that went out. Those checks had started going out last July. I know a lot of folks who have gotten those, and some people who have opted out of getting them. Okay, so now what happened? The third point today, tax effect. This is the part that I really want to, let you guys really understand what happens if your situation changes. And even let's say your income changes, where you're no longer qualified for child tax credit for 2021, but because 2020 said that you made less money, now 2021, you made more money, so child tax credit is not going to be something that you can get. If you had gotten that money in advance, of course, you're going to owe that money back. right? If you made more than 200,000 a single person, then you no longer qualified for child tax credit. So you no longer qualified. You've gotten some money in advance. Now you owe that money back. If your dependent status changes, right? The custodial parent now is claiming the dependent. You no longer can claim that dependent, or the child is older now, or they're filing their own taxes. You no longer are able to claim that credit, get that credit. So what happens is, because you got that money in advance, now you may owe that money back. If it's one child, for instance, and you were getting that $3,000, they send you half of it, so it's $1,500. But for some reason, if you're not able to claim that dependent, you will owe that $1,500 back. Okay, so that's the part that is going to be a little surprising to some folks. So hopefully more people are going to have the same status, same dependent, will be within the income bracket. So it won't affect them tremendously. There's going to be, of course, a few people who is going to be affected by this once they file the 2021 tax return. Okay. So those are the points today, guys. Go back over this video and make some points, because I know a lot of folks who are going to not really understand all this stuff. And I know that I'm going to continue to explain this during the tax season. So I will be explaining how everybody's refund is being affected. Some people is going to get less money. Some people are going to owe money back. And then the ones who got the money in advance, that money comes off. The amount that you're going to get is not going to be the same amount of cash for your refund for child tax credit. Okay, so that's today that I wanted to make, guys. With that said, I'm out of here. That's it for me today. Make some notes. You guys hit like and share on this video. Circulate this video so all your friends can get it. If you know anyone that has dependent kids that get child tax credit, you want to explain this to them, tell them to check it out so they're not surprised when they file those tax returns. Okay, so we want to make sure that people are aware of their tax situation in advance. So that's it for me today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will look forward to seeing you guys again next week, Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to have some great information for you guys as well. And with that said, I want you guys to have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Have a fabulous weekend. All right. And you guys take care of each other and take care of yourself. All right. See y'all later. Thanks. Bye-bye.